Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and it's Friday again. I'm going to be taking a look at a Brexit story in the British media. There's lots to choose from, and I've potentially picked a really convoluted one. It's the Daily Mail. It's going to be my main focus this time. I'm going to refer to a couple, but the main one is a story suggesting Remainers were wrong that Britain would have no friends in the world, and then spends up most of the time in the article actually offering up proof that the row we've created with France is somehow evidence that we've made friends with Brexit. But first, if you'd like to be notified of daily news and politics, please subscribe to the channel and click the bell notification icon. So the headline goes, proof Remainers were wrong when they said we'd have no friends post-Brexit. Proof, mind you, not evidence. Proof. Now, I could begin by querying where they got this quote from. This is the first thing to do with any of these assertions. When a Brexit paper says Remainers said this, my first thing is, but did they? Because there was no reference to it in the article itself. So there's me thinking, did a prominent Remainer actually use such a line? Did anyone ever say that Britain would have no friends after Brexit? Or is it just another case of a Mail journalist making up a non-attributable quote because it was not the sort of thing that anyone makes a fuss about? After all, you can't prove that no Remainer ever said this. But can you reference it in the article? I mean, who said it and exactly what did they say and when did they say it? Where did they say it? Can you reference it? No? Okay. However, I would accept this. Absolutely the case that Remainers were of the view that our influence in the world would diminish, that we'd lose friends. I'm totally fine going along with that. And you can call that having fewer friends in the world if you like, that's fine. But it is a tricky one to even debate sensibly because, as I say, the entire article is based on an assertion that Remainers said a thing that I can't find any evidence is even true. It's a little bit like when Brexiteers defend the economic hit we've taken by saying, Remainers said the country would be bankrupt, or Remainers said we'd get no imports from Europe. Nobody said those things. We said that our exports would go down. They have done. We said that our economy would suffer. It is doing. We said that there would be food shortages. There are. We said that trade supply routes would change to bypass Britain because it'd be too much hassle to go through us. They have done. And we also said that our influence in the world would diminish. It has done. We were an important member of the EU. We now have no influence at all. Consider this. The EU is the number one trading partner for a lot of countries, a lot of major economies. And we used to be one of the big three. Now we're not. We've gone right down the scale. The United States, for example, its biggest trading partner is the EU. We are only just inside the top 10. And as I've talked about in a previous video, it's not a sliding scale. The amount of trade we have them is tiny. So we now have no influence at all in the EU and therefore massively reduced influence in the other countries who pay very careful attention to what the EU says, but not us. And it is possible to have some influence informally from the outside. It is not impossible to influence the EU as a major economy on its doorstep. But because we refuse to engage, we have none. But this article in the Mail is trying to prove that we have friends in the world, right? So how does it go about offering up this proof? Well, it spends most of its column inches bashing the French and suggesting that the defence deal between the US and Australia that we helped broker is somehow revenge for France beating the UK in 1781. I think that's what they were saying. It was a little bit convoluted. But, talk about holding a grudge. We weren't even alive then. And now that we've brought that deal up, I may as well add my own thoughts. I wasn't going to do a video on this because it's just ridiculous. But first, who are these friends that he's trying to claim using this defence contract for? He's trying to say that the deal proves that America is our friend, is he? After all, he says, this is President Biden. He's perfectly willing to accept, he can't imagine a US president more opposed to Johnson than Biden, and yet this deal was done. Doesn't that prove that the US is our friend? Well, let me take that point first. So let's look at this deal. It involves Australia paying a fortune to the United States for submarines. How exactly is that America doing us a favour? In fact, of the three countries involved in this deal, the UK, US and Australia, it's the US who wins out of this. They get a huge defence contract. Plus, the submarines are to be used to patrol the part of the world where America has actively tried to encourage other countries to increase their naval presence. So not only will Australia be doing what America wants and boosting its naval presence in the Pacific, but they will be paying America for the honour of being able to do so. This is not unlike paying money for a football shirt so that you can advertise for the team's main sponsor for free. In fact, the Mail article actually accepts that this deal, from America's point of view, came about as a result of pragmatism. It's not friendship, they weren't doing us a favour. The article doesn't even claim that. It's in their interest, and that's all there is to it. Biden didn't go along with this because of any desire to stretch out the hand of friendship to Trump clone, but because he gets to bring home the bacon to his own people. So from the UK's point of view, what does this deal do? Not a lot. It's a deal for the US to supply Australia. Our government is hoping for a few crumbs to fall from the table for our own military contractors, perhaps. But there's nothing in this deal for us. What it has done is cause France to lose more trust with us. The Brexiteers are crowing about the fact that France is hopping mad. Oh, they're loving it. France acting childish. Oh, this cattish behaviour. Consider what this means. We depend on the EU. Let's face facts. The notion that we could go alone after Brexit has been blown out the water. We're utterly dependent. And we can show that we're utterly dependent because the government keep having arguments about, oh, we want the EU to do this. We want the EU to do that. The EU should do this. The EU should do that. Well, for an independent country that doesn't need the EU anymore, you're in half fussing a lot about what you want the EU to do. So that basically means we want things from the EU, do we? We want them to do things for us. Okay. Going behind their back, well, it's not, France's back, but it is one of the main players now, deliberately deceiving them over a period of 18 months. I would argue that's not really the way to deal with this. And let me show you the front page from the Daily Mail this morning. It says this morning, Boris likens Macron to a jilted lover. Now, they'd already run an article telling France to get over itself over the diplomatic row. Well, let's see what happens the next time they report on Priti Patel being upset that France aren't doing enough to patrol our waters and pick up asylum seekers. How she whines that that France aren't killing enough asylum seekers in the sea and we're having to do it. When the Home Secretary does her nut, will the Daily Mail be advising her to get over it? Not making such a fuss? And how do they think that this behaviour is going to help with border security cooperation between France and the UK then? France have the power to be very difficult with us. But I don't want to bang on too much about this. The bottom line is I have not seen anyone be able to point out a benefit to Britain of this defence deal between the US and Australia. It's all imagined. Being told by Liz Truss that she hopes to get a bit of money for UK suppliers is the same as me saying I'm hoping to win the £111 million jackpot on the Euro Millions tonight. No sane government spends 18 months stabbing its most powerful neighbour in the back for the hope of a small bit of business that will not even show up on the economic figures. So where are we so far? Let's go through this. So these so-called post-Brexit friends don't include France, of course, because they spend the article bashing France. They actually love the fact that we're enemies with France now. They don't include the United States. After all, Johnson has been to the US for various reasons the last few days, but his main one was drumming up support for the US trade deal. The White House have said they're not interested. Capitol Hill has repeated the line from both Democrats and Republicans. They repeated the line while Trump was in charge. We're not even going to consider a deal unless you fully implement the Northern Ireland Protocol. Well, right now we're threatening to drop the protocol altogether. Now, in diplomatic terms, that would piss off the United States more than the way we've already annoyed France. I mean that literally as well, because France's anger was mostly expressed to Australia and America. They knew we were irrelevant. When the naval deal was announced, they recalled ambassadors from those two countries to make their position clear. They didn't bother with the UK. They viewed us as irrelevant and they already knew we couldn't be trusted. Nothing to say to us. And then, there I was at the end of the article and I thought, well, where's all these friends then? I was promised proof that Britain had post-Brexit friends. Actually, I was promised proof that Remainers were wrong to say that we wouldn't have any. But as I've also been unable to find in the article any quote from any prominent Remainer that we wouldn't. Bit tricky to accept proof of that. But, I'll accept proof that we have friends post-Brexit. Okay, let's just go with it. But in this article, proving that we have friends, it spends half of its lines attacking France and glorying in the fact we're no longer friends. So you're not counting France as friends. It offers up no evidence of friendship with the United States. And recent events have shown that the United States is only interested in us for its own benefit. And it doesn't even see much benefit to be worth talking to about very much at all. So was I supposed to infer that Australia was a friend in all this? But there was no such claim made. But if it were, again, Australia is using us for its own game. The trade deal that we still haven't signed is heavily in Australia's favour. It gives them easier access to our market without giving us any further inroads into theirs. Also, whenever we learn anything new about it, it turns out that we've conceded even more ground to them. So although I don't recall any Remainers saying we'd have no friends, and this article offers up no evidence that any did, they don't name anyone, I could say that if anyone were to make such a claim, nothing in this article would set you straight. In fact, come to think of it, what friends do we have in the world right now? And I mean friends, not trading partners. Someone signs a trade deal with you that's massively in their favour. That's not friendship. You know, you go to an insurance salesman and buy insurance. Are they your friend now because you've given them money? A friend is someone who helps you out in tough times. We've got quite tough times now. Self-inflicted, sure, but tough times nonetheless. So where's the country that's coming to our rescue? You know, if someone were to claim that post-Brexit we are going to be friendless in the world, let's say someone had claimed that, which country can someone point me to in order to disprove the notion? But like I said before, this is where the Brexit media is now. It has to argue that black is white, offer up defiant headlines with long articles that offer up nothing to back up the headline with. You know, they need to do this in order to drown out the articles that they can't avoid writing about the devastation that Brexit is causing. This was also an article from the Daily Mail this week. Now, obviously, they can't just leave their news pages like this. If their only Brexit stories were like this, people might start wanting to reverse Brexit. So they have to try and drown it out, maintain the national delusion that they helped foster where they can. But those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. Hope you found the video interesting. If you did, don't forget to click the like button. If you'd like to support the channel further, please also click the Patreon link for details. And until next time, I'll see you later.